Greetings, fellow electrical engineers. Rodamont here. Thank you for tuning in to Stationeers Brutal Vulcan. Episode 13, Engineering a Full Solar Array. So while I go a little bit deeper into the details about why I use the gas mixing the way I did, I'm going to have you guys vote. Oh, also, one more thing is right at the end of last stream, we did add a little bit of solar power to the grid. So that we have more, power available to us. All right. So, the things that I can work on next is going to be up to you. And I just wanted to mention, as far as the H2 combustor is concerned, it doesn't really matter how much, basically it's going to go, if you provided a ton of volatiles, it's going to combust all of your oxygen, as long as there's volatiles present, so you don't really need to measure it all that carefully. The reason I have a temperature-controlled volatile tank is because I eventually am going to want to mix fuel canisters. So there's a reason for me not to use just like atmospheric volatiles. It's because I intend to use volatiles later on for a different purpose. So I set up the volatile filtering and the gas mixing as a first step to gas canister advanced furnacing, which will be later on down the line once I'm producing more oxygen. So while you vote here, let me talk about a little bit about the about these different goals. The expanding solar grid and battery storage is pretty straightforward. Have more battery kits so we can store more power so we don't have brownouts, and then add as many solar panels to the first section as possible, up to 8, and then probably enclose them in windows so they don't get destroyed by storms. We could also do a base coolant and heat exchange. The idea for that is to have the daily refreshed coolant, where we just dump heat into and then dump it out of the atmosphere, be stage 1, and then there will be a stage 2 tank, which becomes pressurized and temperature controlled, where it gets colder and colder and colder down to like room temperature, down to like 25 Celsius. So then we can use that high pressure 25 Celsius gas to then heat exchange for all the other gases that we want to be controlled. Because at the moment, the heat sink for the base is the base's air. And that's not great, because it means the temperature of the base goes up and down and up and down pretty wild. And if I could get the base, if I could do the heat exchange and the base coolant, what we could eventually do is we could have a base that is like 30% oxygen, 70% carbon dioxide, pressured at about 90 kPa, and I wouldn't even need airlocks between doors. I wouldn't even need a crew quarter necessarily, because the whole base would be breathable. That would be a pretty cool goal. I could also build an oxygenated crew quarters. Inside the oxygenated crew quarters, I'd probably put a refrigerator and like a microwave and maybe a respawn area and spare tools if I die, whatever. We could also build a landing pad, satellite dish, and trade computer to buy seeds. Right now, I'm only growing potatoes. If I grew ferns, I would be able to produce a lot more oxygen. And then if I started to grow flowers, I'd be able to produce paint. Paint allowing me to paint things, because at the moment, everything is orange and yellow. There is no color coding of anything, because paint requires soy oil and like crushed flowers, essentially, in order to produce colors. I could also set up a storm warning system to let me know when a storm is coming, and a beacon to help me come back to my base in the case of a storm. A tool printer and upgraded tools, because I don't have a tool printer yet. A gas capture arc furnace. One of the advantages of the gas capture arc furnace is a lot of the times when you are making alloys, you're going to want to outgas your ores. All the ores in the game produce gas when they're like processed, but they only do it once. So if you're trying to make like Invar, let's say, and you don't want the outgassed nickel to cool down your furnace, you could throw it through an arc furnace first, and the gases that come out in an arc furnace are like 0 degrees Celsius. So they're really cool, meaning that you can just add them to your tanks and it's not going to really be a problem. And that's a really good way to like make sure that anytime you're processing like silver or gold, or you get oxygen, if you process silicon, you get nitrogen, so on and so forth. We could also expand the greenhouse for more oxygen, getting a bigger greenhouse or a second greenhouse perhaps, and then viewer suggestions. So I'll have you guys vote on that for 1 more minute while I hydrate. And make sure that like all of my tools are nice and powered up, and I'm ready to take on the day. Oh, do I even have... I do have water on me. Good.
Air tank low.
Well, I don't usually take my suit off in here, but I will now. Because why not? It's like a janitor's closet for breathing. Alright. Air tank's screaming at me that like I'm gonna suffocate. So, a little reminder, of course. If I take out my analyzer, this here is pressurized CO2. In fact, I think I named the tank. Yes, propellant gas tank storage and oxygen gas tank storage. Obviously, it's not color-coded because I don't have paints. But yeah, let's swap out the ox tank because my ox tank is bad. And then, my waste tank's pretty full, so I'm just going to dump that into the farm. And we're all set to take on a new task. So, it looks to me like my goal is going to be to expand the solar power grid. Expand power generation and storage. And the reason... Oh, that doesn't really fit. I'll just do power generation and storage. Okay. So I've got a decent amount of steel. Oops. Give that back. In fact, turn it off. Give it back. I've got a decent amount of steel, but I have basically no silicon. Yeah, basically no silicon. And enough copper for a decent amount of cabling, I suppose. So I'm going to go out here and get myself some more silicon. Oh, I have silicon. Let's process this ingot. So at the moment, I've got 5 panels, and I would want 3 more panels to max out what can be put on a 5 kilowatt cable. And if I'm going to do 8 panels rather than 7, I'm also going to need a transformer. And then on top of all of that, I will also need to add more batteries too. So this is like a 2-part job. I think I'll do... Because this battery's not filled yet, I will do the power generation first, and then I'll do the storage. Is this the time for... You know what? This isn't going to get hot enough. I'm just going to throw it through the arc. Okay. I'm going to get some more copper as well. And gold. Because we're going to want a lot of steel, copper, and gold for the panels. And then, probably make a few batteries, make heavy watt cables, you know, do it right. Another thing that we could do is we could add a wind turbine as well. Wind power on this planet isn't that good, but during storms, it generates tons and tons of power. So it's very reliable in storms. Do I have a logic guide for greenhouse and solar panels? Yes, I've already... That's going to be on YouTube at this point. Kind of a been there, done that kind of situation. So while the benefit of daylight, let's get the materials I think I'm going to need for this. Another thing to consider is to enclose the solar panels in glass windows so that they are stormproof. That would be another useful thing to do, I think. Alright, that's probably enough material for now. I'm hoping to be able to furnace process this material rather than have to use arc furnaces, because arc furnace is going to take a long time for the... Oh, the furnace will get hot enough if I'm putting gold in it, though. So that'll be fine. I'll do the gold first. Because gold outgasses oxygen, which then combines with the atmospheric volatiles and produces a lot of heat. And the silicon just finished as well. Alright, batteries are definitely going in the correct direction. We were yellow, we're now green. No, don't do that. I really should build more platforms. Well, I'm actually going to, because I plan to put the batteries out that way. So, 5 solar panels, we'll need 3 more. Got it. Let's get that printed up first. So we're doing kit solars, gold, steel, and copper. And then we're also going to want steel frames, or even iron frames. I don't really care about the frames, truth be told. But we're going to want frames for the panels themselves. And then we're going to want 3 glass sheets. I don't think I need a net analyzer at the moment. I have 9 iron sheets. I thought I had spare frames. Oh, no, maybe I used them out here. And then while I'm here, I'll just prep my next meal, too. I use them on solar panels? Yeah, that makes sense. So that's panel number 1 of 3. The base is pretty hot, and the reason it's hot is because I am exposing our carbon dioxide to base atmo, which is why we're cooking in here. It's cooling down my carbon dioxide so it's more usable for the farm, but it is heating me up badly. I know, and I don't... It was intentional. So I have 9 more iron sheets. I'm going to make iron frames, because I might as well just use up my iron. Oh, wow, I have no iron left. I have enough for a single frame, so I guess we'll have to go get some iron, too. Oh, I don't even have enough for 1 frame. Yep, okie dokie. And there we go. I'm going to change the recipe so that we don't print more. Yep, let's go get some iron for that. Bye-bye, Janus. That is why that is what I adoringly call the source of light. Would it be a good idea to dump CO2 propellant tanks into the base to increase the pressure? I already have a active vent to do that, so I don't really need to use my propellant tank. It's somewhat redundant. Plus, the active vent is controllable, whereas, like, just dumping a tank on the ground is not really controllable. Cool. My tank there is of good temperature. And then this is my water condensing tank, and it is 27C. It's actually more temperate than the rest of the base. So if I was to make a batch of water, we have good coolant for that already. Okay, I'm gonna need arc furnaces stuff. And then I probably need more cables. Yeah, I have 14. Okay, definitely gonna need more cables. Gonna need like 100 cables. So we're getting everything we need for the solar panel. And then once we have the solar panel materials with the frames from the arc furnace, I'll start building them. So, all of that iron is going to become frames. It's exactly how many iron sheets I have, so it's kind of perfect. And yeah, I'm not using a stacker, which will keep this somewhat cleaner. Don't care. I like unstacked. I find it hilarious. So probably about 100 cables is going to connect up the last 3 panels. And then my power generation per daylight hour will be 5 kilowatts. I'm also going to need 1 small transformer at the very least. There's the frames. I'm going to let the cables print up a few more while I get the other iron. Alright, we'll try 80. Then we're going to get a small transformer, and that's because 8 solar panels will produce more than 5 kilowatts. So if I don't transform it, it will blow the line. And I don't want my lines blown. Okay. I think that's all I'm going to need at first pass. My food and water is rather low, so I'm going to take a dip into my little breathing hole and re-up my vitals. Which also gives me an opportunity to, like, take the suit off for, like, a moment. It's not much, but it does a little bit of hygiene. As you can see, my hygiene warning went from red to yellow. It's going to go right back to red as soon as the suit's back on. But at least I'm, like, attempting to be hygienic. Sort of. Barely. Honestly, barely. Whatever, it's good enough. This is my stank room. It smells like butt. Oh, Janus is back. Speaking of butt. I don't yet need the transformer, but I will soon. So let's stick the transformer... Oh, don't fall. Let's see. I'm going to put some frames down so I don't keep falling around. So I'm going to build myself like a nice little platform here, which will keep my ores from like falling into the nether. And then the other 5 frames I have, I can use... something else. So the power transform should be here. That'll work. Oh, I didn't bring my labeler. Well, poop. Time to click like 50 times. And this is how much power is allowed to go through the transformer downstream to prevent cable burnout, because these small cables burn out at 5 kilowatts, so you don't want to exceed 5 kilowatts off of them. And then flip the switch. And now all the power that is being generated from those panels is going through to the battery. I don't have a network analyzer, but like, let's assume that's the case. Because I don't see a reason why that wouldn't be true. Alright, continuing the power tower. I'll just have it aligned. So we need 3 more. So the last one is going to really be floating, but like, whatever. Those are our last 3 towers. Get them welded, and then stick the panels on, wire them up. Pretty straightforward. The next phase of this is going to be to set up more kit batteries, and for that we're going to need heavy watt cables, because I eventually intend to add even more power generators to the grid, not just 8 panels, right? We're going to want to use more power than just the 8. And with that in mind, I will absolutely need heavy watt cables to handle the load. Cool. So, those are all the panels for the first array. And there might be more arrays later on down the line, but this is array 1. Oh, well, thank you for the resub. Also, don't mind using my jetpack, because all it is like CO2 gas, which is atmospheric, right? So it's like, oh, no big deal. If I waste a whole bunch of propellant, doesn't really matter. Oh, that's not diagonal. Yeah, I'm gonna correct that. Because I'm worried about the panels casting shadows on one another for higher efficiency, so I screwed that up. Do I have a spare waste tank on me? I do not. Okay, let's hook the data up to this first panel, and then I'll need to swap my waste tank. Because I've been outside during hot hours, my waste tank is, like, filling with hot oxygen. Alright, that one's aligned. Time to make a pit stop. I need to get in the habit of swapping out my air tank and waste tanks more frequently. I'm also down to just about 1 CO2 filter, but like, that's fine. My propellant is, I used about 2/5 of it. And this is also a dead filter. Okay. Well, that's all set. Let's fix the actual tower, because I screwed that up. As you can see, it's very clearly misaligned. Do you need a compressor to fill the jetpack? Nope, I already got one. That one's correct. And that one is correct. I did it right! Woo! At some point, I might even, like, do the aesthetics of, like, making these not float. You know, anchoring them to the ground or whatever. But those sort of, like, nice-to-haves can wait until I'm, you know, comfortable. Come on. So, chat. Should I also window up the panels now or not? For reference, on this planet we have ash storms, which damage my panels. They don't necessarily destroy the panels, though. So I can spend time to window them up now, which is to make 8 times 4, so like 40 wall kits, and wall them up, or I can do it later. Take on a new project. Happy with either, don't care. Only one panel left. Definitely out of cables. Needed the full 100, I think. I'm also nearly out of propellant, so we'll top up a propellant tank and print a bunch of cables. But my battery's nice and blue, so definitely the transformer's working because, you know, the battery can't charge off of nothing, so I don't really need a network analyzer to know that that is working correctly. I also don't yet have the kit batteries, so that ought to be printed up at some point too. Air tank, waste tank, propellant tank. Tanks are all set. I think what I'll end up doing is do iron wall kits for the windows. Just because I already have some iron walls, and the steel walls like require more plastic, I think. So it's actually cheaper to do iron kit walls, even though they're like less pressure tight. What temperature do you need to make Sterilite? Well, you could just, I'm not a wiki. I don't have that memorized. As much as I wish I had a eidetic memory, I do not. Actually, I don't wish that. But I'm assuming you're referencing because I would need for the large kit batteries, but I'm not even trying to make the large ones. I'm making the regular ones. The reason I'm not making the large one is I don't even have an advanced furnace, so it's kind of moot. Would windowing up cause significant energy production losses? It would cause the base to get hotter. which is why I don't have windows. Not a lot of them. Because a base full of windows is a base that needs a lot of cooling. And cooling is kind of expensive here on Vulcan, so I decided against that. Oh, windowing the solar panels? No, I would be fine. If that's what you meant, yeah. No, it's not going to matter at all. For the solar panels. It'll lose a few percents of efficiency, but it will still generate 5 kilowatts. Because most of the power loss is the fact that I added 8 panels instead of 7. Because 7 panels gets you like 99% of the way to 5 kilowatts. So 8 panels is... The 8th panel basically doesn't produce a lot of power that adds to the grid, unless you heavy watt cable it, which I didn't do, because I'm not about to spend that much in heavy watt cables. For the kit batteries, I'm also going to use steel sheets, but I have 5 of them there. So I'm planning on adding at least 2 more kit batteries with the current 1 that I have, so we're tripling our power capacity, which I think is pretty good. I'm just waiting for this battery to finish printing so I can start printing up the next one and then cancel it. So it doesn't print like 3, it prints 2. And it looks like you guys are going to want me to window it up as part of the project. Copy that. And we're almost done with the cables. Okay. All of the panels are connected. Next up, adding batteries. So I'm going to want some more iron frames, 3 more iron frames, and 3 more iron sheets. Probably more than that, actually, because I'm going to want to have the other towers not be, like, weirdly floating. It just feels wrong. And why iron? I could use steel. I don't know. I'm just using iron. Wait, what? What happened to my other kit battery? Only made 1 and then it just stopped. So, 6, that will work. Ah, crap, my iron's in here. Fine. What can I do in the meantime? Is an Icarus suit better than a hard suit in Vulcan? I'm not making suits right now, so it's not a relevant question. Does an ash storm protection need to fully build foundations? Yes. You need it isolated from exterior atmosphere. So the way to solve that is either I can weld the bottom piece once with 1 iron, or I can put a wall there. Obviously, welding once is going to be significantly cheaper. What can I do? I guess I could go into my farm. I don't really need to. I mean, the farm's producing enough oxygen. Maybe I'll check up on everything. So the base dropped a whole bunch of temp. The CO2 and the base temp is nearly about the same. I'm gonna flush some new CO2 into the farm. Yeah, because it's pretty low pressure. But now it doesn't spike temperature so high because the CO2 that's in the tanks isn't like superheated. Almost all of these potatoes are like fully seeded now. But I don't need more seeds or potatoes, so I'm just going to leave them. Basically, they produce oxygen for me now. I don't care about harvesting. At least not until I make another farm, which was not my project, so. We'll leave that as is. Alright, so there's the other kit battery. For that, I'm also going to need steel sheets. And then, I'm going to want some heavy cables, too. Oh, these don't stack. So before I print up the heavy cables, give me my iron back. And I'm almost out of copper. Got it. Alright, the heavy watt cables I don't need immediately for this project that I'm working on. I'm just eventually going to want all the batteries on heavy cables rather than light cables so they can, I can move around more than 5 kilowatts up to 100 kilowatts. I'll print 2 more. Okay, so we have space for the batteries now. There's 1. And 2. And as you can see, there's room for even more. Done. Now, we are going to snip this. Oops. Probably need more heavy watts. And everything after this transformer is going to be on heavy watt cables so that I can have more power producers without blowing out my lines. And obviously, I'm going to need more heavy watt cables, because I can't power up everything. At least now I can charge 2 batteries, instead of just the 1. And we can also have that feed back to the base. So I could have these be heavy watts, but I just normal's fine for now. I'm not producing enough power for it to be a concern. Oh, I am going to change the way I'm cabling this a little bit, though. I might, at some point, want access to the data port, so I'm not going to block the data port with the cables, because if I want these batteries to connect to other projects later on, I'm going to want to separate data and power, I think. Another thing that might not be a bad idea is another transformer leading back to the base, which is a 5K limit. In case I ever connect this cable up to something that isn't the APC, it would demand a draw greater than 5 kilowatts and, like, blow stuff out. So let's finish the heavy watt. I need, like, 2 more heavy watt cables and a transformer. It'll also be helpful to get a network analyzer so I can just take a look at the power I'm producing. I didn't mean to toggle the transformer on or off. That was like a misclick. It wasn't glowing because it wasn't, nothing down the line was producing power. And I thought it was off, but it wasn't off. Okay, base is 62 Celsius. Do I need to reset the AC? Since it killed power to the base? Power was never killed to the base because I have this battery that basically acts as a power interrupt. So my ACs should be fine. And if we take a look at the network analyzer, we should be getting 5 kilowatts coming. Oh, that's a potato. Yep, 5 kilowatt. The potential here is higher. It's 5.1, obviously. And if I add windows to this thing, it's still going to be above 5, I'm pretty sure. So we're wasting a little bit of power because I don't have heavy watt cables coming in, but like not a lot, right? I'm wasting 100 watts or something, not a big deal. Alright, so these bad boys are powered up. I did want to put a transformer in here because it's really annoying to trace blown out cables. Oh, god damn it. I forgot my labeler again. Time to click 50 times! Alright, there we go. So the base is, got triple the capacity for power. Perfect. Thank you for tuning in to Stationeers Brutal Vulcan, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhodamont.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhodamont.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow engineers.